Hello and welcome to the news. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news. Police in Chingola have arrested a 20-year-old man for allegedly killing a 49-year-old man whom he found having sex with his mother. Suspected Patriotic Front cadres today attacked newly formed National Democratic Congress officials at 5FM radio in Lusaka, where they were scheduled to appear on a live program. And a suicide bomber has killed at least 18 police officers during a parade at a training center in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. The news in detail. Police in Chingola have arrested a 20-year-old man for allegedly killing a 49-year-old man whom he found having sex with his mother. In a statement, police spokesperson Esther Katongo says Danny Mushitu of Matimpa area allegedly hit Lesford Saidi of Kasompe with a brick and plank after finding the latter having carnal knowledge of his mother in his heart. Ms. Katongo says the victim, whose body is lying in Ichanga Hospital mortuary awaiting post-mortem, sustained deep cuts on the forehead, on the left eyebrow, and on the upper lip. She says the incident occurred between the 12th of December 2017 around 23 hours and the 13th of December 2017 at about 0050 hours at Matimpa area off Solwezi Road in Chingola. Ms. Katongo adds that the suspect is detained in police custody. Meanwhile, a 35-year-old woman and her two daughters have died of suspected poisoning in Mpika district of Muchinga province, while her husband is battling for his life in Michael Chilufya-Sata Hospital. Ms. Katongo says Manasseh Mbango, aged 42, was found in an unconscious state, while his wife, identified as Fanny Bota, aged 35, and their two daughters, aged 2 and 3, were found dead. She says this happened between the 12th of December 2017 at around 19 hours and the 13th of December 2017 at 18 hours at Chisowa village, Chief Luchembe of Mpika district. The three bodies are lying in Mpika Urban Clinic mortuary.
This occurred between 12th December and at 23 hours and 13th December 2017 at 50 minutes after midnight. This is at Matimpa area off Solwezi Road in Chingola. The accused person is reported to have hit the victim with a brick and a plank and sustained deep cuts on the forehead and on the left eyebrow and on the upper lip. The body of the deceased is lying in Changa Hospital mortuary awaiting postmortem, while the accused person is detained in police custody. In Muchinga province, police received a report of suspected poisoning in which a male adult identified as Manasseh Mbango, aged 42, was found in an unconscious state, while his wife, identified as Fanny Bota, aged 35, and their two daughters, aged 2 and 3, were found dead. This happened between 12th December 2017 at around 19 hours and 13th December 2017 at 18 hours at Chisowa village, Chief Luchembe of Mpika district. The survivor is admitted to Michael Chilufya-Sata Hospital, while the three bodies are lying in Mpika Urban Clinic.
Suspected Patriotic Front cadres today attacked newly formed National Democratic Congress officials at 5FM radio in Lusaka, where they were scheduled to appear on a live program. And NDC spokesman Eric Chanda fired shots into the air to disperse a horde of cadres that stormed 5FM. 5FM was scheduled to feature NDC consultant and PF Ron Member of Parliament Chimba Kambwili on the Burning Issue radio program, but information filtered through that PF cadres planned to disrupt the radio program. NDC then decided to send its party Secretary General Mwenya Musenge and Mr. Chanda, and only managed to get Mr. Kambwili on the phone for a few minutes into the program. As the program was on air, a group of suspected PF cadres stormed the premises and started smashing cars and deflating the tires belonging to the NDC officials. 5FM was forced to discontinue the program, and Mr. Chanda ended up firing shots in the air to scare away the PF cadres. Meanwhile, the Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia, has condemned in the strongest terms the action by alleged Patriotic Front cadres in Lusaka province for blocking Dr. Chishimba Kambwili from featuring on 5FM radio program. Mr. Zambia's chairperson Helen Mwale tells QTV News in a statement that as an institution that stands for media freedom and freedom of expression, they strongly condemn the attack on 5FM radio station and NDC Party Secretary General Mwenya Musenge. She says it is unfortunate that the said cadres blocked Dr. Kambwili and attacked Mr. Munsenge, who was there to merely trail the discussion. The Mr. Zambia chairperson has since demanded that the culprits who disrupted the program at 5FM radio be arrested and brought to book like it happened to Chris Chalwe. Meanwhile, the ruling PF has distanced the party from the reported incident at 5FM radio. PF Media Director Sande Chanda, in a statement, says the confrontation that happened at 5FM, where NDC Secretary General Honorable Mwenya Musenge's vehicle was damaged by unknown people, has made sad reading for all who believe in the freedom of expression and deepening of the country's democracy. He has since called on the Zambia police to consider the matter with the urgency it deserves. Justice Minister Given Lubinda says it is possible to hold another referendum on the Bill of Rights before 2021, provided resources are available. Mr. Lubinda says he is aware that various stakeholders are calling on government to hold a referendum before 2021, but that government has no money at the moment. And Mr. Lubinda says the Constitution is talkative and the main reason why it is irresponsive. He says it is for this reason that his ministry has been calling on members of the public and various stakeholders to make proposals and submissions on the identified lacunas in the Constitution. Speaking in Lusaka during the Basic Constitution Law and Constitutionalism Training Workshop for civil society organizations, Mr. Lubinda says reviewing of lacunas in the Constitution is necessary considering the lessons the country has learned since the enactment of the Constitution Amendment Act No. 2 of 2016. Mr. Lubinda asked that the call on the general public to come forward to make suggestions on how to perfect the Constitution is an example of the highest level of democracy exhibited by President Edgar Lungu. He notes the need to strengthen some provisions that would contribute to accountability, transparency, and the improvement of good governance in the country. Mr. Lubinda has since expressed hope that the training will, among other issues, tackle the ways in which the enhanced Bill of Rights can be addressed after failing to reach the threshold of the referendum.
So as you go out teaching us, I'd like you to also teach us not only about our rights, but also about our obligations to ourselves, our obligations to society. You spoke about the Bill of Rights, and I know that you're going to spend some time talking about the Bill of Rights. That is a matter that is very close to my heart. Recently, I was on the 13th of November. I was being grilled, not by my brothers and sisters, because when you grill me, you grill me with a smile because you know that we may meet tomorrow along Cairo Road. But I was being grilled by people who I may never ever meet again. So they had no kind words at all. They were really rough on me. Or they were supposed to have been. On the 13th of November, we presented your Universal Periodic Review report to the Human Rights Council in Geneva. And I did speak on the matter of the Bill of Rights. And I said two things. On the Bill of Rights and also on the death penalty. And I stated that, number one, we are a government that will respect the laws of.
Speaking at the same event, Civil Society Constitutional Agenda CISCA Chairperson Bishop John Mambo has maintained that the best way to address the lacunas in the Constitution is through a constituent assembly.
For now, Honorable Lubinda is saying Mambo is alone, that one is alone. So we are here this morning, Honorable, in you addressing us to be one. And we need this constitution. We demand for this constitution. We want a constitution that will stand the test of time. The countries in the region, Sub-Saharan Africa, we liberated them. Zuma was a gorilla here. Mbeki was a gorilla here. The majority of South African ministers were here. I can show you some of the houses are in your constituents. Others were in Ilanda. But today they are boasting of the best constitution. Sam Muyoma was here, living with us. We accommodated them, you know. and the number of them. But look at us, we are the one going around, the constitution of South Africa, what is wrong with us? There's sickness, and I'm not a prophet again, the issue of allowances per diem. You appoint another commissioner, will accept. And you're not finalizing the one that is there. I'll die a peaceful person, Honorable Winda, for my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, if we have a constitution that will protect me. But now I'm not protected. I can be arrested standing here. Getting out of this hotel, I'm arrested. And you rot in prison for no good reason. So we are grateful that you are there. And I'm not saying this because you are humble, handsome, understanding sometimes. Because you can also be difficult. What I'm saying is that use your position, that good language, the influence you have, and that forgiveness to go and be a good ambassador in company. There are many of your colleagues who don't agree with you or agree with us, but it takes...
And Zambia Council for Social Development Executive Director Louis Mwape is hopeful that the training will translate into well-processed submissions that have a higher likelihood of acceptability by lawmakers as well.
We are aware that Parliament at the moment is polarized. There are even certain good things that are submitted to Parliament which are being rejected. So we want to present all those good things to Parliament, and with your support I know that you are going to ensure that we have the parliamentary buy-in. And if you look at the members that we have brought into this meeting, they are also a diverse group. A diverse group in the sense that there are those that are interested in the public finance management. You may be aware that there are a number of lacunas in our constitution and also in our laws, in which we find that today the Auditor General can present a report to Parliament and also to the public, but yet the process of prosecution is not very effective. So we want to see how the Constitution itself empowers the Auditor General so that even as we hear of this public abuse of resources, there will be also sufficient laws to ensure that that office is also given the mandate. We have another laws such as the budget and planning laws, which must also be part of our constitution, so that once we have all these laws embedded in our national constitution, then we are going to see that there is effectiveness in the implementation and management of public finance, and also delivery of services to our people, which I know is the ultimate.
Former Commerce, Trade and Industry Deputy Minister Miles Sampa has rejoined the ruling Patriotic Front with a pledge to support President Edgar Lungu. The former Democratic Front leader has advised those leaving the ruling party out of frustration to realize that there are worse frustrations outside the ruling party. Mr. Sampa is also advising party members that patience and discipline are cardinal at all times in politics and never to do things out of frustration. He says those leaving PF should learn from his experience. Speaking when he rejoined the PF in Lusaka, the former Matero Member of Parliament says his time in isolation taught him to be loyal to the president. Mr. Sampa has since endorsed President Edgar Lungu for the 2021 elections, saying there is an unwritten rule in PF that the incumbent can never be challenged. Mr. Sampa resigned from his position as Commerce Deputy Minister in October 2015 and from the ruling party in January 2016, saying the current PF's conduct reminded him of the MMD of 2011 that instilled fear in the general public. Speaking at the same event, PF Secretary General Davis Mwila, who received Mr. Sampa, says he is happy that Mr. Sampa has returned back to the party. Mr. Mwila says President Lungu has urged him to ensure that he recruits more members into the party, including those who left the ruling party. Ministry of Agriculture Permanent Secretary Julius Shawa says farmers in some parts of the country have begun receiving the e-voucher cards under the Farmer Input Support Program FISP. When reached for a comment on delays to activate the e-voucher, Mr. Shawa said the ministry has started distributing e-voucher cards to farmers who have not yet received. Mr. Shawa, who declined to give further details, says Agriculture Minister Dora Selia will give a detailed update to the nation. Farmers in some parts of the country have complained over delays by government to load the e-voucher cards with credit.
Tomorrow.
Just a quick update.
Tomorrow, can we talk tomorrow?
A quick update.
Yes, tomorrow.
There are some farmers in Momba district that so they're holding on to the ZNFU card instead of the actual e-voucher system.
No,
So
they have the e-voucher cards are being distributed as we speak.
They have not yet even received it. Still following up. Somebody deposited money in January 2016 and they've not yet received it.
No, the cards are going. The cards are going. Let's talk tomorrow. Tomorrow. I have to. Yeah. The cards are going. Tomorrow, the main event is tomorrow. Please. Let's talk tomorrow.
Caused by sector players that the agriculture in the minister has performed poorly this year with regards to the farming inputs.
No, let's talk tomorrow. She'll be here. She'll be here.
And in another development, Ministry of Agriculture Permanent Secretary Julius Shawa has reaffirmed the government's commitment to work with the private sector in achieving economic growth as outlined in the 7th National Development Plan. Mr. Shawa has since called on the private sector to harness the conducive policy environment that government has provided by investing in value addition for more sector growth. Speaking during the prelude to the official commissioning of the fertilizer blending plant by President Edgar Lungu at the Lusaka South Multi-Economic Facility Zone, Mr. Shawa says the plant is another milestone in promoting crop diversification as farmers will have increased access to fertilizers. Details in the following report.
Fertilizer is one of the key inputs in agriculture, and yet it remains one of the most expensive farming inputs beyond the reach of most small-scale farmers who are major contributors to the national food security. However, the cost of fertilizer could soon become affordable to most farmers with the coming of a fertilizer blending plant in Lusaka. Agriculture Permanent Secretary Julius Shawa, accompanied by the Zambia National Farmers Union President Jevis Zimba, has toured the fertilizer blending plant located in the Lusaka South Multi-Facility Economic Zone. Speaking during the prelude to the official commissioning of the fertilizer blending plant by President Edgar Lungu at the Lusaka South Multi-Facility Economic Zone, the Permanent Secretary took time to understand the benefits of agro-processing and the challenges the sector faces.
These blended fertilizers, they are crop-specific. They've got organic enrichment. They have lime in it, and they're also soil-specific. So looking at all these areas, we find that for small-scale farmers, these fertilizers are very, very ideal. For example, the organic enrichment is very ideal for our soils, especially that they add in soil organisms in the soils, and also they help to improve the soil structure.
And the ZNFU president has urged sector players to engage local farmers in the supply chain to enhance value addition.
And you can give them as much, they can deliver as much, but once the price of tomato and soy to market goes up, then they don't want to bring there. Yeah. So I think that's your major challenge, which we have to try and see how you can...
we need a consistency supply throughout the year.
Exactly.
So that we can plan our capacity. I think
it's just an average pricing. The farmers are getting the better price they will give you. But Soweto is always disturbing the production of fresh biscuits. So we need to brainstorm over it. I'm aware about this issue.
Sure. We're quite happy to sit down on that.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, to us, I think the farmers, we can group them, talk to them, but the most important thing is the price. If the price is good, then they'll stop. Who wants to be at Soweto 06, 05 in the morning?
And at the end of the tour, Mr. Shawa has called on the private sector in the country to harness a conducive policy environment that the government has provided by investing in value addition for more sector growth.
Fertilizers and indeed other inputs. The installation of this plant is therefore timely. It is our policy as government to work closely with the private sector for the growth of our agriculture sector and indeed for our economy. Therefore, government welcomes the initiative that Export Trading Group has come up with. We want the private sector to move along with government in making sure that our policies, as outlined in the 7th National Development Plan, are achieved. Lastly, let me take this opportunity to call upon the private sector in Zambia to harness the conducive policy environment that government has provided by investing in the value chain for us to grow the sector and indeed the economy.
Export Trading Group, ETG, has set up a fertilizer blending plant in the emphasis to supplement government's efforts towards agriculture development. It is hoped that the coming of this fertilizer blending plant will help reduce the price of fertilizer in the country, thereby increasing agricultural production. Alfred Mwansa reporting for QTV News.
Millers Association of Zambia Chairman Andrew Chintala has expressed concern at the delay in the activation of electronic vouchers during the 2017-2018 farming season. Mr. Chintala has, however, proposed that Agriculture Minister Dora Selia should consider engaging the agro dealers for the farming input and find out what could be the problem, considering that the Agriculture Minister announced that government has released the money. He has told Q News that there is need to ensure that all the challenges holding the distribution of inputs are addressed without any further delay. Mr. Chintala says failure to which the country risks to compromising in terms of the 2017-2018 crop season, thus the need to give it the seriousness it deserves. On the 24th of November, Agriculture Minister told Parliament that government has released 1 billion kwacha out of the 1.7 billion kwacha for the activation of about 600,000 e-voucher cards under the Farmer Input Support Program.
We're concerned, and I think it's important that the government engages the distributors for the farming inputs quickly and find out where the problem is, because we expected that by now all the inputs should have been in the hands of the farmers in order to ensure that I think our farmers plant in good time and apply the fertilizers and all that according to their plans. So I think in some sections, in some parts of the country, farmers are still complaining that they haven't received. So our call to the Minister of Agriculture is that she should engage the agro dealers and make sure that if at all there are any bottlenecks that are actually holding the distribution of the inputs are addressed without any further delays. Because failure to do so, I think we risk compromising in terms of the 2017-2018 crop, which we expect to come on the market sometime quite next year. So really I think it's a matter of concern, and I think also a matter of urgency, and that the relevant authorities should look into it critically and engage all those that are involved in the process.
Medicines Transparency Africa META has noted the need for the media to raise advocacy and lobby at national, regional and international levels for the strengthening of the health system. Speaking on the sidelines of a media workshop aimed at strengthening media participation on sexual reproduction health in Lusaka today, META chairperson Lawrence Chota notes that there is not much the media is doing currently to bring out issues that are affecting the health system in the country. Mr. Chota says there are human rights that are hidden from the public in health that the media can bring out. He has encouraged the media to use various platforms to make government accountable in order to achieve health for all by 2030.
The HSAP expects CSOs, media and center to be active watchdogs, like I've said, using dialogue and decent space to hold our government accountable for achieving health for all by 2030. You were supposed to bring up something. There are a lot of things which are happening. The University of Zambia, what you call it yourselves? It's a radio. There are a number of things we can bring up, especially in this area. And let's hold our government accountable. Let's not give them space. There are a number of things which are happening. So let's hold them accountable. It's my hope and prayer that we will continue to achieve our objectives and grow the partnership here in Zambia.
Higher Education Minister Professor Nkanduluo has implored the private sector to be innovative in promoting quality education in higher learning institutions. In a speech read on her behalf by Director, Department of Vocational Education and Training, Muzano Simumba, during the official launch of Cavendish University Zambia School of Working Adult Programs, SWAP, Professor Luo says government is filled with a sense of accomplishment that the conducive policy framework and enabling environment it has put in place to enhance access to quality tertiary education is bearing fruit. She says Cavendish University Zambia is one of the universities that have responded swiftly by bringing on board cutting-edge education technology to the education sector. Professor Luo states that already Cavendish University has demonstrated being a reliable contributor towards the Vision 2030, the African Union's Agenda 2063, and the UN Millennium Development Goals, and many other strategic national, global and international documents that enshrine the need for tertiary training by pioneering the working adult programs and ensuring that the nation has a skilled labor force.
Cavendish University, of course, is one of the universities that is responding swiftly and ably to the citizenry by bringing on board cutting-edge technology, education, to allow as many citizens as possible, both within the country, within the region of Africa, to access education. The school working other programs, of course, SWAP, are being launched this morning, provides and indicates a milestone in the development of tertiary education in Zambia. And for this particular initiative has been pursued and programmed by Cavendish University, it is important that we give the university an applause for such an initiative.
Speaking earlier, Cavendish University Zambia Vice-Chancellor Professor Mutale Musonda says the aim of the SWAP is to extend educational opportunities to a busy working-class population of students who would continue with their busy, demanding personal and employment schedules.
The School of Working Out of Program, abbreviated SWAP, is being launched simultaneously here in Zambia, Cavendish University Zambia, and Cavendish University in Uganda. The SWAP as a product initiative consists of bachelor degree programs in law, business administration, and computing. This is a new product for the Zambian market and is tailor-made to fit into the needs and lifestyles of the working adult who wish to advance in their careers. Guests of honor, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to report here that Cavendish University has continued to excel beyond expectations. This is the fourth month, I say, in which we are launching another product. In September, we launched the CAP, Cavendish University Learning Platform.
The Lusaka City Council, LCC, has confiscated ready-to-eat foodstuffs from Lusaka's Kamala and Central Business District following the ban of the sale of ready-to-eat foodstuffs on the streets after the outbreak of cholera in Lusaka. In a bid to curb the spread of cholera in the city, the Lusaka City Council in October banned the sale of ready-to-eat foodstuffs on the streets. The decision was communicated to street vendors and through their representatives who attended the cholera sensitization meeting held at Nakatindi Hall in Lusaka. Today, a joint team of state and council police officers raided Kamala Market and Central Business District and confiscated ready-to-eat foodstuffs from vendors. And LCC Acting Public Relations Manager George Sichimba has told journalists in Lusaka that the operation was as a result of seeing compliance levels from street vendors as the council banned the sale of such foodstuffs in the second week of October following the outbreak of cholera. Mr. Sichimba says the foodstuffs will be destroyed because they might be contaminated.
This food is what has been confiscated from Kamwala and CBD, arising from the operation that we had to enforce the ban on the sale of ready-to-eat foodstuffs. So the next step now is that our public health inspectors will go to the major court and obtain what we call a disposal order. And so after obtaining the disposal order, we are taking them to our cleansing depot, where we are going to disinfect the food and also mince it so that it is from solid state to that state, so that when we go to dispose of it at our dump site, those that are scavenging there can't have access to it because we don't know the state of this food. It could be contaminated. You know, you saw the conditions under which they are being sold. So that's the procedure I'm talking about. We don't just dispose of them without obtaining an order from the major city.
To end the news, the headlines once again. Police in Chingola have arrested a 20-year-old man for allegedly killing a 49-year-old man whom he found having sex with his mother. Suspected Patriotic Front cadres attacked newly formed National Democratic Congress officials at 5FM radio in Lusaka, where they were scheduled to appear on a live program. That's all we had in our news. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.